Hello and welcome back to BPS TV. It's the news, or more importantly, it's the Super 35 news of cinematography, because we just want to touch really quickly on a main announcement from ARRI, which is of course the new Alexa 35, a standard bearer, if you like, for Super 35 cinematography for the next 12 years. I wouldn't bet against it. So this camera has a lot of new stuff, a lot of interesting takes on how we're all going to make films in the future. It is not a camera that's chasing many Ks. It's not going for 8K, 12K, 16K. They're staying at 4.6K of ultimate goodness. So we've got a new sensor, we've got new color science, we've got what's being called almost a lab in a camera. You can add textures, you can add filters, you can actually create your little science mix of how you want your footage to look in camera, and you can bake it into the RAWs and the ProRes in camera so nobody can mess with it afterwards. The camera itself is an all new body. It's metal, it's not carbon fiber, and you've probably seen the testing films online. No camera, it appears, has been tested to a greater extent. You can mount things obviously onto the body because it's metal. You've got proper attachments. You can have a top plate, of course. You can have all the accessories that ARRI is famous for, but you can also run this camera in a very lightweight configuration. There are two main packs, the production pack and the light pack. Obviously, the clues are in the name. The first one tends to be for, I would say, heavier features where you have an AC, and the second one, the lightweight, tends to err towards the more documentary shooter. And you can even not use a top plate on that pack, and you can have this tiny circular carbon top handle that you can move up and down with a mount for an easy rig. This camera can take an audio expansion pack on the back with phantom power, and I would see a lot of users just buying that expansion pack, sticking it on the back and never taking it off. Two SDI outs, independent SDIs. You can run whatever you want through each of them, 6G and 12G, depending on what you want to do. Obviously all that connectivity that you need. It's good to see an L-bus connector on the front left so that you can run your motors, you can power them directly from there. Power for the camera is 24 volt, new super duper power because the camera needs it, and also because it helps to run accessories from the new ARRI standard for 24 volt. And of course, it's not just ARRI that are producing batteries. Hawkwoods, Core, Bebop, all different manufacturers have joined up to join this new standard. And one of the advantages, of course, is yes, you can power your camera, but you'll also be able to power your lighting from the same batteries because they have a higher voltage. Camera itself does about 100 watts per hour in terms of power, so a 290 battery is going to get you a good 2.5 hours, up to 3 in terms of runtime. Standout numbers, how's 17 stops of dynamic range? Yes, and they're ARRI stops, which means they are conservative and they are real. Yes, yes indeed. Now, from the footage I've seen online, one of the main takeaways seems to be that you can shoot into the window and really retain an amazing amount of highlight detail. There seems to really be an incredible breadth of dynamic range in the scene that you can pull up. And that's incredibly useful, not just for features where you control the light, but also for documentary and out in the field, where often you just have to shoot where the action is. This camera appears to be easy to grade and to give you lots of options in post. So ARRI cameras, as we all know, are not traditionally the most sensitive. I mean, they're not the cameras you would use normally in a low light situation. This camera is intended to buck that trend. This has a new ES, extended sensitivity mode, from I think 2,500 ISO up to about 6,400. The camera has 3 internal NDs, 0.6, 1.2 and 1.6. I think if you were outdoors in the bright sunlight and you want to be wide open, you might need to add a 0.3 or something on the lens, but that's great to have those physical NDs built in. And of course, the camera body itself has even more function buttons than the Mini. We think we've got 6 on one side, 3 on another, and you can program them for the ND or for all the other shortcuts that you'll need. And it is lovely to see the side panel on the left, because you can just strip away the viewfinder, and if needs be on a gimbal, you can just see all of your settings on the camera without even attaching a monitor. To finish, of course, the one thing that they haven't forgotten, and I know you want it, they've got a new app. Yes, to celebrate the new camera, there is a new app. And for those of you who are Apple users, rejoice! You can now see your camera settings on your iWatch. I kid you not. You can now check all of your cameras from your watch. I know that's something you'll all rush to do immediately, but it's good to see that connectivity. The thing that struck me was that you could have multiple cameras on set and you could jam them in a sense with all the same settings. So you can check that all cameras are identical. They're all running the same stuff. You can check battery voltage. You can start, stop, all the usual stuff. So it's good to see that connectivity brought in at the base level. And the app, I'm told, will work with the Mini as well and the LF. So that's the ARRI 35, proof, if ever you needed it, that not everything in the world has to be full frame. Super 35, we love you.